Today we are discussing about the circular tank design. Circular tank design is a bit different than the previous topics because the circular tank have different kinds of forces. Of course, the application of the circular tank is understood because the circular tanks have been used extensively in the municipal as well as the industrial facilities for several decades. So the design of these structures require that attention must be given to the strength requirement not only but also for the serviceability requirements. These tanks have been widely used, as you know, that these can be used in the underground water tank for storage purpose, for silos purpose, for the treatment plant purpose, for the water treatment plant purpose, and of course the application of this topic is understood. A properly designed tank is basically a tank that can carry out all the loads without cracking and without leakage and for a certain design life period. So therefore the tanks are important and the critical structures because we have to take care of the seepage control measures also. Now the what are the goal for providing the circular tanks, and these are of course the tank should be properly sound, that should not leak. So this is possible by providing the proper reinforcement with lesser spacing, proper detailing of the tank design, construction joint, and the quality concrete must be placed. So therefore, for that purpose, we can use the high cement content, the high strength concrete. Then we can also use the seepage control admixtures. The ACI committee that report number as 350 will be followed for the design of the tank. Although the ACI 318 is there, but it is not providing the complete details of the tank design. So therefore, the additional code that we can follow is ACI 350. The reason is that it is giving us the information about the water containments, the industrial tank, the domestic water, wastewater, dense impermeable concrete where is needed. So ACI 350 is giving us a good information, and this is also helpful for the designing the environmental related structures. The important point of the circular tank, another one is the critical loading conditions also, because normally when we were designing the slabs and the beams, we were designing only the loads for the gravity loading, and there was maybe the earthquake loading, but the only one load was critical, and we are not designing it again and again for the any other kind of loading. But in case of a circular tank, let's say you are designing a tank in ground, then the soil effect from the outside and the water effect from the inside will cancel the effect of each other. Although these are not totally equal, but still they will tend to cancel the partial effect of each other. So it is possible that we should sometime it is possible that the tank the water is not present, then the soil may be critical. So therefore, the critical conditions for the circular tank design are not only the one condition, but there are more than one condition. The condition number one is that the tank is full and the water load is present. The condition number two is that the tank is empty and the water load is not present, although it is present sometime, but we are designing the tank for the extreme conditions because it is possible that the inside the liquid or the water is not present in the tank. So therefore, the second case is that the water load is not present, and from the outside the soil load is present. For the first case, the water load is present and the soil load is not present. The third case is may or may not be possible because this is telling us that the tank is covered or tank is not covered. So when the tank is covered, the inside UDL is also developed and the top end movement is also developed. So therefore, we are sometime doing the additional design. The condition number 3 is not mandatory, but sometimes you can consider the condition number 3. So these are the critical conditions for designing of the tank. under all the circumstances when the tank is buried, even when the tank is overhead, when we are considering the loading from the outsides like wind loading, then we are ignoring the load from the inside, and when we are considering the loading from the inside, we are not considering the loading from the outside. The summary of the loading conditions that the tank may also be subjected to uplift forces from the hydrostatic pressure at the bottom when empty. This is an additional point that when you know that the soil water table can rise, and in that area the uplift pressure should also be checked. That uplift pressure is so dangerous that it can uplift the tank, and the pipe arrangement can be disturbed and the crack can also develop in the tank. And this is more critical when the tank is empty. So for the empty conditions, we must check that how much hydrostatic pressure is acting upward pressure that can put a thrust at the bottom of the tank. Normally the upward pressure should be lesser than the downward weight of the tank multiplied some factor of safety. It is important to consider all the possible loading conditions on the structure, and full effect of the soil load and the water pressure must be designed for without using them to minimize the effects of each other. The effect of water table must be considered for the design loading conditions. So when you are designing, mainly I'm emphasizing on the in-ground water tank. So these are these loading conditions written here are quite important when you are designing an in-ground water tank. The methods that we will use are the two. One is the commonly used method that have been used for the different design of the structural element, that include the strength design method. The strength design method is similar, but there are some modifications, because you know that in ACI 318 code the factor was used as 1.4 rather than 1.7, but again it was modified by the ACI 350. The factor, the live load factor that will be used with the soil and the water load will be 1.7. Then in addition to that factor, they added one another coefficient that is called as the sanitary coefficient. The sanitary coefficient is telling us that the flexure factor will be 1.3, the direct tension factor will be 1.65, the shear factor is 1.3. So flexure forces are developed mean bending in vertical direction of the tank. The direct tension is basically developed due to the axial forces. The hoop tension, which is developed around the circumference, we will use 1.65 factor with that. And the shear will be developed, of course, when the flexure is there in the vertical direction. The shear will also be developed. The second method used for the circular tank is the working stress design. And the working stress design, the ACI 350 implies that the grade 60 steel will be the value of the stress that will be used for the grade 60 steel will be half of Fy. So it means that you will use 210 megapascal or 2100 kilogram per square centimeter. Whereas for the hoop tension, the stress that should be used is 1/3 of Fy. So it is rather than further smaller value, about 140 megapascal for the grade 60 steel. You know that when you are designing the structures under the working stress method, you have to take the stress value within the allowable, within the elastic limit. So Fy is the yield strength, which is beyond the elastic limit, but Fs here will be used. For the hoop tension, the Fs value is quite smaller, 140 megapascal, but for the other flexural cases, enforcement design, we will take it as 210 megapascal. Normally, when you are going for the working stress method design, the thickness of the section will be larger, and it is a heavy design. So historically, the engineers have been following the working stress method, because The tank is a critical structure, and repairing will become challenging if something suddenly happened to the tank. This is full of water or any other liquid. So that's why they have finally in the ACI 350 it is recommended that the hoop tension should be considered using the allowable stress design method, and the concrete thickness of the tank should be determined by the working stress method, because working stress method will give more conservative design, whereas the reinforcement will be designed by the ultimate strength design method. The modification that is needed for the load combinations, other load combinations, which like a slight bit different. You can see here the first equation is not 1.2D but 1.4, and similarly there are many other few modifications which are used, and these factors are being used for the dead. D is for the dead load factor, F is for the fluid factor, roof live load is LR, and similarly the rain load, the snow load, the load due to weight of pressure of soil, water, this is represented by H, and F is the load due to the weight and pressure of fluids. Similarly, E represents the earthquake load. Earthquake load is also there, and the earthquake load depends the concave pressure and the convex pressure on the water tank walls. Then with the strength, they are using the durability factor with the strength, and that factor is the ratio of the yield stress to the working stress. Fy is the yield strength and Fs is the working stress. And that should be larger than 1. So this durability factor is basically gamma is also the ratio of the factored load to the unfactored load, and it is also explained that in further the required strength should be increased by the using the durability factor. Durability factor is also sometimes used, which is so therefore the required strength will be further enhanced by multiplying with the durability factor. The phi value is similar. You can see that the phi value that is used is 0.9 for bending, 0.7 for the spiral. For shear it is 0.75, and bend bearing on concrete is 0.65. So the same phi values are adopted which have been used for the building design. These are some modifications that what are the limits for the circular tank design. If you are designing the tank and you have determined some stresses and you want to compare your stresses with the limiting allowable stresses. So what are the values of these permissible stresses? These are 140 megapascal for the normal conditions, severe conditions. It is 120 megapascal for the shear stress carried out. The conditions are 165 megapascal, 140 megapascal. These are the limiting value when you will determine and you will compare your results. So these are the limiting values. Similarly, partial shear stress, which is carried out by the shear reinforcement as the excess shear strength, which is required in addition to the design shear strength, and that is provided by the concrete. So 5 VC is provided by concrete and 5 VS is provided by reinforcement. So reinforcement shear strength should be larger than the durability factor into VU minus 5 VC. Then are the limits of flexural stress. Flexural stresses are basically developed in the vertical directions of the circular tank, and when we are computing the stresses, we should check the limit that normal environmental condition, the flexural stress, that is computed by the formula given 320 over beta s square plus 4 and so on. It should not exceed 20 ksi for one-way members and 24 ksi or 165 megapascal for two-way member. Here beta is the ratio of H minus C to D minus C, which is 1.2 or 1.35. dB is the dia of the bar and S is the spacing of the bars. However, we can also see this value from the graph, that what was the spacing and what is the limiting value of the stress in the steel. Then another is the case where the flexural stress is under the severe environmental exposures. The flexural stress that have been used for this case is a bit different, which is 120 and 140 megapascal, and we can also see the flexural stress limiting value from these charts. For tension control section, even the shear strength contributed by reinforcement in calculations of the SD, the effect of the code prescribed load factors, 5 factors, can be eliminated and applies an effective load factor equal to Fy over Fs with 5 factors set to 1. So we can eliminate the effect of phi for increasing the required strength. So phi is 0.9 or 0.75, but we are not using sometime and taking it as equal to 1 because this also incorporates the durability factor in our design. Now we will discuss that how to compute the wall thickness, how to compute the forces in the tank, and how to compute the reinforcement and the bending moment and the shear in the vertical directions and the hoop tension along the circumference. First of all, the thickness of the tank. If you see the circular tank, the thickness is of course when I cut the section of the circular tank at any point, that is the thickness, and when I take that point and take the section of the circular tank, the thickness basically is along the circumference, the force that hoop tension is developed, that along any section that will develop an axial tension in the tank. So hoop tension is along the circumference. It means that it is developing a tensile strength not only in the steel which will be provided along circumference, but in addition the concrete will also be under the effect of tension. And this tension is basically not the flexural kind of tension. This tension is axial tension. But you know that the allowable tensile limit for the tensile stress in the concrete is much smaller than the compressive strength. So therefore the chances of the cracking are there, but it is unacceptable because the concrete is weak in tension. So we have to see that we have to ensure that the axial stresses are the hoop tension developed minimum stress, so that the concrete should not develop the excessive tensile stress in it. However, the ACI 350 and ACI 318 are not providing the tension carrying capacity under these conditions under the hoop tension effect. So the allowable strength can be taken as 10% of the compressive strength. Normally it ranges from 7% to the 12%, but you can take the 10% of the compressive strength as an allowable strength. According to the ACI 350, reinforcement cast in place concrete wall 3 meter high or taller, which are in contact with the liquid, shall have a minimum thickness of 30 centimeter. So initially you can assume the thickness and compute the stress. There is a one option. The second option is that you can take it as ln by 12 to ln by 15. The height of the tank, let's say, is 3 meters. The thickness will be about 30 centimeter or 300 millimeter. And if the height of the tank is 2 meters, you can take it the thickness as to 200 millimeter, the minimum thickness. But still there are here we are going to prove the thickness formula, because thumb rules are not all the time applicable, and sometimes the pressure is so high that we need to check the thickness using some effective formula which is based on the strains, stresses, and the applied loading. Consider a segment of a circular tank which is 1 meter long, 1 meter high, but T meter thick. Thickness is T. So this is a segment. You know that in the circular tank there is a circular reinforcement also, which is also shown in the figure, and all this segment is also will be under the effect of tensile force, not only the concrete but also the steel. Plus this segment will also be mainly this tensile force will develop the tension in the concrete, and there will be shrinkage strain also in the concrete, of course, but steel is also there which will try to reduce the shrinkage strain. So effective stress will be in the concrete will be epsilon SH minus epsilon S. Shrinkage strain is some known value which is already given in 0.0003 to it can vary actually 0.0005, and epsilon S is basically the steel strain. FCT is the limiting tensile stress. Now we can see that the total shrinkage strain is strain in the steel and concrete, but it means that the strain in the steel, because there is a reinforcement bar also, so strain in steel can be computed by the shrinkage strain minus the concrete strain. Concrete strain due to the force basically, and steel strain also due to the applied load. Shrinkage strain is due to the material property. Now by putting all the values, it's very simple. By the stress over strain, elasticity, then the shrinkage strain value, tensile stress in the concrete over elasticity. We can determine and simplify this equation. You can see Fs over Es, because I have already told you that the thickness will be computed using the working stress method, and we are here putting all the values as the working stress limiting value, Fs over Es, Fct over Ec. So now by multiplying the Es on the right hand side, it is reduced to this one equation, and you have studied partially this method, the working limit state method, and you know that the modular ratio is the ratio of the Es to Ec. So it is replaced by the N. N is the modular ratio, which is the ratio of the Young's modulus of the steel to the Young's modulus of the concrete. Now we know that Fs comes out to be this third last equation in this slide, and we also know that under the, if the axial load is acting on any member, then it means that ASFS should be equal to the ACFCT. And now replacing the Fs value by this value epsilon SH ES and NFCT, we will replace this value as it is computed above Fs, and then we will further simplify it. So now AC is also involved, because actually we want to determine our thickness is thickness will be computed from the AC, area of concrete, because the AC is equal to the thickness of the tank multiplied by the 1 meter. Let's say we are calculating for 1 meter. So AC is thickness of the tank into 1 meter, and this is the thickness. So AC is this part of the we are evaluating. Now you can further simplify it and putting all the values on the left hand side, separating the steel and the concrete part, and finally we can say that the limiting tensile stress that should be developed in the concrete segment of the circular tank should be equal to epsilon Sh over into ESAS over AC plus NAS. So in this way you can determine the limiting tensile stress for the based on the strain only. Now based on the force, what is the stress? We know that stress is force over area. And what is the working stress area? So area of the working stress is the concrete area plus NAS. You know the rotated section when the steel area is also replaced by the concrete area. Then it is when the concrete area is replaced by the steel area, and we have to take the equivalent concrete area. So that is N time AS. So this is also the main force. The second last line, the equation written is due to the force effect, and the previous equation is due to the shrinkage effect or strain effect. So basically sum of these two will give you the total tensile stress in concrete. Summing these two equations, so it comes out to be the last equation. This is the main equation for computing the tensile stress in concrete. Now when you will design the circular tank, you will assume some thickness, and you will compute all the forces, like T is the hoop tension, and shrinkage strain is known, ES is known, area of the steel will also be known, and area of concrete you will assume definitely thickness, so it is also known. And you can check the limiting tensile stress by putting the values, and if the limiting tensile stress that comes out from this last equation is larger than the allowable, which is 10% of the compressive strength, then you will change the thickness. And if you feel that no, it is very much lesser than the allowable stress, so then it means that your assumption for the thickness is fine. For example, you say that okay, let's say you want to determine the thickness from this formula. That is also possible, because this is not the unit. This expression can be used for any units, but let's say you want to compute the thickness in centimeters. So put down the values of the area of concrete, because we are considering the 1 meter segment. So it means that in the bottom the AC is replaced by 100 into T. The area AC, the concrete area, is replaced by 100 into T, and then we can compute the FCT value. And then we can also compute the thickness value from these expressions, and the ratio of the because this thickness will be coming in the centimeter by putting the value of the T in the kilogram per kilogram, FCT in kilogram per square centimeter. Then this formula, last formula, is valid, and you can determine the thickness also directly from this formula. And the value of the shrinkage strain that you will use is 0.0002 to 0.0004, and plain concrete, the shrinkage strain is higher, 0.0003 to 0.0008. But you can generally use 0.0003 for the shrinkage strain. Now here is an example for computing the thickness of the water tank. The units here are followed are the kilogram per square centimeter, but so let's say the FC is given, Fy is given, and ES is given. So you can compute the value of the FCT. As I have told you that it is 10% of the FC prime, so FCT comes out to be 30. Fs is, when you are using the hoop tension, the Fs is equal to Fy over 3. It comes out to be 1400. So now when we put down all the values of the epsilon SH, ES, FS, NFCT, and 100 is basically the considered segment, and T is on the left hand side, and T can be computed in terms of the T, where T is the hoop tension, which is unknown, not given. So it means that the tension is equal to the 0.0042 times T, where T is in kg. And how if the modulus of elasticity of concrete is not given, you have also the empirical relation 4700 under root Fc prime in megapascal, or in kilogram per square centimeter, you can compute the modulus of elasticity of concrete by 15,100 multiplied by the Fc prime in kilogram per square centimeter. So this will give you the answer in the kilogram per square centimeter for the modulus of elasticity of concrete EC. So if you want to put the T value in ton, so you multiply this with the 1000. So it means that T is equal to 0.42 T. This is a simplified expression of the T because all other were the material properties. So just the T is the force hoop tension, which is not known because no data is given for the water pressure, the dia of the tank. So therefore, this is not possible. But in this way, you can compute the thickness of the tank.
सर जब हम किलोग्राम से टन्स में जाएंगे तो हम डिवाइडेड बाय 1000 करेंगे. Sir, why we are multiplying it with 1000?
नहीं, अगर this force is basically you are putting something in kg. When you have to put this force in ton, definitely you will put it in the multiplied by the 1000. The force will be put the force that you will input, that will be divided by the 1000. Force that you
Okay,
will
sir.
put, that will be put in the multiplying by the 1000, but the in formula it should be, that's why it should be divided by the 1000, because T will be now much smaller when you are computing it in tons. So that's why the answer will be the same from both these values. Now finally there are enforcement requirements in the tank. The amount, size, and spacing of the reinforcement has a great effect on the extent of the cracking. You know that the spacing should not be larger in the tanks, because if you get larger spacing, you should reduce the dia of the bar so that the maximum spacing should not be larger than the spacing that is computed from the crack width. The amount of reinforcement must be sufficient for the strength and serviceability, including the temperature and the shrinkage effect. The designer should also provide the detail to ensure the cracking, and the joint detail should also be proper, and the leakage proof measures should be taken. The water stopper and other structural elements and the non-structural elements should be taken care of. The size of the reinforcing bar should be chosen, recognizing that the cracking can be better controlled by using a larger number of smaller dia bars rather than the fewer larger diameter bars. And the spacing of the reinforcement should not be larger than 300 millimeter in any case. So these are the general reinforcement requirement. The minimum cover is 50 millimeter. The wall thickness should be sufficient to keep the concrete from cracking. If the concrete does crack, the ring steel must be able to carry the ring tension. Normally, the cracking should not occur, and the ring steel should also be provided. If the crack occurs, the tank should not be collapsed because the ring steel is there and that is taking the tension. Only the measurement or repair is possible, but totally changing the strengthening the tank is big challenge. Then the horizontal splices should not be in one line, but they should be staggered, and lap length properly should be computed as per the codal requirements, but minimum 90 centimeter it can be used. Staggered mean that all the laps are not in one line. Laps used are one is here, the next is here. So these are not in basically one line. The laps are at different position. These are called the staggered splices because of the, so that all the sections should, one section should not become the weaker section compared with the other. The crack control spacing can also be determined, that what is the spacing limit for the reinforcement, because I have told you that the spacing should be lesser in the tank, so you can compute from this expression that what is the limiting spacing. Although this is an old formula, but maybe the same in the new code. So limiting spacing for the steel is computed by this one. So our spacing cannot exceed then. Additionally, you have to take care that water stopper should also be provided. Normally in the typical construction, you stop the work and don't go for the water stopper, but joint can be provided without the water stopper. Now, when it comes to the water tank, when you stop the work, you know that the tanks are quite larger structure and concrete is not possible in one day. The concrete is not possible in the one day. So for that, it's better that you should use the concreting maybe 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, and wherever you stop the concreting work, the joint is provided, and that joint is called as the construction joint. But across the construction joint, there will be a water stopper, which half part will be goes in the older concrete, and half part of the water stopper will go in the new concrete. So this will avoid the leakage across this place. So leakage will not be possible at that location. Then comes the now computing the, I have told you about the tension force, but now I will let you know about the forces. You know that the tank is affected by the vertical loading also, and let's say what is the effect of the water load on the vertical direction. So this depends upon the end conditions. For example, if your tank is sliding edge or the roller at the bottom, it's like sliding edge, and also the sliding at the top end, let's say. These are normally the precast circular tanks which are already available, and you put down, make the slab and place the tank. Then of course it is not possible to make the monolithic with the base slab. So when it is not possible, what happens that when the load is acting on the tank is not fixed at the bottom and it can move, and the elastic curve is like that. It means that there is no resistance against the movement at the bottom edge. There is no resistance against the movement at the bottom edge. The bending moment is zero at the base. The bending moment is also minimum at the top because there is no monolithic end. So this will develop more tension in the uh, center direction. This will develop this tank will actually not much under the effect of flexure, but this can slightly move from the bottom. And in this case, the hoop tension is larger. The forces are controlled by the horizontal direction tension. So when you evaluate this kind of the tank, there is no movement, but the larger hoop tension is developed in this case. The horizontal direction rings are taking the major role in this case. The second case is when you make it monolithic, when the steel is also embedded in the base. You can see here, steel is embedded, and it is a single monolithic joint. The top end is also monolithic. So what happened that this will develop the initially the larger movement, so tension on the loading side, then again the tension goes outside, then again the tension on the loading side. So tension is the outward side in this part, but tension is on the water side in this part, and also the tension is on the water side in this part. Actually, this is the real analysis. When you analyze the tank, this behavior is not similar to the rectangular slab, because if it is a rectangular slab, then behavior is slightly different, and the tension, because due to the shape of the tank, the behavior changes. But this have been analysis that when it is a circular tank, the load, if it is fixed at the base, the load goes like that. This is the load distribution. So it means that about 70% bottom, or 0.7 times the h. 0.7 h is the total depth. About 0.7 h there is a maximum effect. At the bottom there is a maximum negative movement, but there is a positive movement also. There is a positive bending moment also. So we have to compute actually these movements in the vertical direction when the top end is fixed, bottom is fixed. Definitely the behavior of the tanks are changing. One case is that it is a hinge support. When there is a hinge support, what happens? normally when the tank is not monolithic or you make the reinforcement detailing like that, if you are giving the reinforcement detailing like crossbars, then this will develop the hinge at one point. At the cross point, this is not transferring the bending moment. So this is called as the detailing of the reinforcement for the hinge joint. So due to the hinge, you know that there is a not zero slope, there is a slope, and there is a no movement here at the bottom because it is a hinge support, and there will be larger tension in the middle. So it will develop a larger tensile force, and elastic curve is different. But of course, again in the hinge case, there will be larger hoop tension. When your tank is taking the lesser vertical effect, tank is weaker in taking the vertical movement, then it will be larger horizontal effect. It means that larger hoop tension is developed. So these are what the three different cases, but how to determine these forces? We have to see the tables for that. There are the PCA tables are provided here into you, which are basically about 12 pages tables which are giving us the coefficients for all the cases that if there is a circular tank. These all coefficients are for the walls. This is the walls of the tank, two walls, right and left wall. Basically taking the cross section of the tank, this is the center line of the tank. So if the UVL is acting and bottom end is fixed, what is the hoop tension at the different depth? So it is computed at the different depth, the hoop tension. It can be determined for, you will determine the H square over dt, where H is the height, D is the dia, T is the thickness. And from that you will compute the, for any value of H square dt, you can determine the coefficient of the hoop tension or the any other coefficient. You can determine from this formula also the total the hoop tension coefficient into WHR, where W is the density of the water, H is the total height. So gamma H is the total load at the base, and R is the radius of the tank. So formula is also written for determining the tension, and coefficients are also given from this table. Let's say the also the movements in the wall, you can determine for any depth the movement coefficient. You see that the movement is negative at the bottom, positive in the upper zone, and similarly the tension is throughout the positive. This is the horizontal or the hoop tension, and this is the bending moment in the vertical directions. These coefficients are given for all the cases. For example, for the UDL case, bottom and fixed, movements are different. For the hinge base UVL load, there is no bending moment in this case. For the hinge base but free top, hinge base free top but UDL can also act on the tank for due to the surcharge pressure, or when you are putting the cover on the tank, the UDL pressure is developed. So in this way you can determine the different coefficients. These coefficients are also computed for the load. Just for load acting, you can determine the formula is accordingly changed. It depends that what kind of force is acting. So similarly, this is the coefficient for the moment acting at the base. So formula is modified for the moment. Similarly, this table is giving us the critical shear for any value, the shear force for the fixed base, for the hinge base, the shear can be computed. These are also telling us the coefficients for the circular slab when the load is acting in the middle of a circular slab. You know that the tank slab is fixed on all sides. The tank slab is fixed on all sides. This is the formula for the circular slab when it is acting by the UDL force. The circular slab, the movement in the middle of the circular slab, movement in the half radius of the circular slab. So this one is mean that what is the effect of the circular slab. Of course, there are the radial forces and also the circumferential forces in the circular slab. Both type of the forces are given in the circular slab. Similarly, for tank, sometimes the tank is supported in the middle, and this kind of tank is formed. So these tables are also telling us the values for that. So these are actually very comprehensive tables, although these are in the engineering system of units. not available in the other system of units, but you can follow these and other units for this design, and these coefficients can be followed for the design of the tank. So coming to my regular part, the last few slides where it is explained that about the different end conditions for the sliding bottom edge. The first case, the water pressure is resisted by the ring action. This was the first case, the sliding bottom edge. The water pressure is totally resisted by the ring action. The second case is the hinge bottom. The ring tension and the maximum moment take place at the middle part of the wall. And the third case, the hinge fixed base. For the fixed bottom edge, the water pressure will resist by the ring action in the horizontal directions and the cantilever action in the vertical directions. So there is not only the hoop tension, but also the dominant flexural stresses in case of the fixed bottom. Normally, practically, if you see the ring tension or the hoop tension is larger when the bottom is hinged, and the vertical movements are negative movement, of course, is larger when the bottom is fixed. So maximum ring tension and the maximum positive movement will be smaller for the hinge bottom, while relatively larger negative movement will be induced for the fixed bottom. So these are the conditions that when it is a hinge bottom, the more hoop tension is obtained and more positive bending movement, but negative bending movement is larger when there is a fixed bottom. So actually what you can do to practically have a conservative design. So it's better that it's rare that the base would be fixed against the rotation, and such as assumption could lead to an improper design one. So it is more reasonable to assume the base as hinge rather than fixed, which results in a more conservative design. Practically, if you feel that our workmanship is not extraordinary and the fixed support cannot be obtained by the contractor or the field works, then you can go for the hinge design at the base, and this will result in the larger positive bending moment in the vertical direction and a larger hoop tension. But if normally, even if it is fixed, you can compute the hoop tension by both the ways. Even if you feel that no, the bottom support is fixed, but you must check the hoop tension for the hinge case, because hinge is giving the larger hoop tension. So you must check your tensile force for the hinge case, compute the hoop tension by hinge bottom also, and compute the flexural stresses by taking it as a fixed support, so that you should not miss any important point, and the critical effect and the more conservative design is finally given for the tank design. So that's all for the theoretical part. So now, based on this discussion, we will start problem in the next part of the lecture. So thank you very much. If you have any question, you can ask.
Sir, for the overhead